flawless victory.
Hey guys, I'm Mono and welcome to another edition of Map Breakdown. This time I'll be talking about Stalingrad, which is one of the newest maps that we got in the game. It's a very interesting map. It reminds me a bit of Hill 400 or other forest maps like Hurtgen Forest, in the sense that you can get shot from basically anywhere because lines of sight are huge and there's a lot of hidey holes. There's a lot of terrain, there's a lot of debris everywhere. So you can hide and, take pop shots at someone that's like running around. And it can be kind of frustrating sometimes if you don't play it carefully and you don't know where to go through. So I'll be talking about some of the key areas in this map. I think a lot of people think this is very samey. There's a lot of areas that feel the same, and I agree. Like the area here with the burned houses, it's very hard to tell exactly where you are on the map sometimes, unless you actually take a look at the map. But the truth is, there's some very interesting use of terrain that I think creates some very distinct areas in this map, and people neglect that and suffer because of it, because yeah, there's a lot of cover, there's a lot of places that you can sneak around. So we'll take a look at that right now. Let me show you guys on Strat Sketch what I mean. Alright, taking a look at the map here, you can see it's clearly divided into by the train tracks that cross the middle of the map. You have the German side and you have the Russian side. The German side has more of the broken down, burned down houses, while the Russian side has these immense buildings that you can go in, and there's quite a lot of them. However, I don't really think the implementation of those buildings is very good, because I've never actually fought the way that you would expect to fight in these buildings in the actual game. And I think the problem is, let's take like Pavlov's house here, for example. Yeah, so this is Pavlov's house, and the problem is you can't really place a garrison or OP anywhere around here. Let's take a look. Like, there's no spot for a garrison or an OP or anything. So you can't actually spawn inside the building, or any of these buildings for that matter. And I think that kind of negates their use in a game like Hell Let Loose, where spawning is so important. Like, where you place your spawns is massively important in this game. And the fact that you can't place any inside the buildings, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of a missed opportunity, because you don't end up really fighting over the buildings as much as you should, if that were the case. And you can't run into satchel the wall, kill everyone inside of it and stuff like that, because the buildings, yeah, you might have some infantry inside of them, but most of the infantry is gonna have to spawn outside. But then again, maybe if you could put your garrisons and outposts inside the building, then maybe it would be absolutely impossible to take them. I don't know. So yeah, that's that part of the map. The German side, as I said, is covered in these broken down, burned down houses, wooden houses, that create this very samey feel to a lot of the map. But as I said, there's some very interesting and clever use of terrain. So let's take a look at that. Well, first of all, clearly this bank dominates the sightlines over the train tracks, so it's crucial to, get some good tank placements around here. I've seen a lot of Panthers, a lot of Tigers hold back around here and be able to kill lots of infantry that are running around the train tracks. However, the way you counter that as a Russian is either by using the same tactic but on the streets, because you can take position from really far away on an IS and, get some shots into a Tiger or a Panther that is not going to see you crawling up to them, especially if that tank's spotted, because it's going to be very easy for the infantry, for the rest of the squads, to mark those German tanks that are going to be on the banks. So if you have good armor squads, you're going to see a lot of fighting there. And yeah, I think it's a very interesting map for tanks, because as well because of the Russian PTRS and what that does to tanks, basically knocking their tracks down constantly, not really being able to damage them from the front. So yeah. Now, the area I first want to focus on is the train tracks. So I think the key concept about the train tracks is how to use the cover that's available. Because, you know, at first glance, it seems like the only actual cover you have are the wagons themselves. But there's some trench lines, there's these walls here. There's a bunch of different cover elements that you can use. However, they're not all over the place. So for example, this area right here doesn't really have any cover. So you don't really want to play through this part of the map, even if, you know, if you're looking to fight over a carriage depot, this is not the part of the map you want to take that fight to, because you can't really do anything around this area. If there's a tank anywhere perched up on the hill over there, he's gonna absolutely destroy everyone that's around this area. So you want to be smart about where you take your fight and where you position your infantry. If you want to cover the south side of Carriage Depot, which is, you know, obviously this side right here, let's take a look at what we have around here. So a bit further south, we have a lot more cover available. So you can place a garrison as a Russian, you can place it around here, or as a German, you place it, you know, behind those walls or behind some of the houses there. And there's a bit more cover that you can actually use to sustain a position here and be able to rain some fire onto whoever's trying to get onto Carriage Depot. As I said, the German side, if we take a look at that, you know, there's also some cover here from the walls, from the carts themselves, this broken down, burned down building there. So that theme, I think, is present in every single area around these train tracks. For example, let's take a look at the north side where you have railway crossing. This area, obviously a lot more cover, and it's a very tight space. You know, it's not as huge as an open area as it is down further south. You have these carts here, the walls, the buildings on the Russian side, some buildings on the German side as well. You can take position in this factory right here and, you know, be able to... we actually built an AT gun the other day around this area, I think around here, and we were taking some shots into the buildings there. And just like those other areas in the other parts of the train track, there's a lot of open ground here that you don't really want to use if you're fighting over railway crossing. So if you want to flank south on railway crossing, you're going to have to go a bit further south and use this area right here, because that's going to actually allow you to either get to the German side or the Russian side, depending on which side you're in, instead of going over this side where you're not going to be able to do anything because you're going to be completely exposed to pretty much everyone. Let's take a look at the south side real quick before I go over onto Strat Sketch. So the south side, as a Russian, again, there's a bit more cover on the Russian side to make up for the fact that the Germans have, you know, the high ground and all of that. So there's a lot of cover though anywhere around here. So if you're fighting the south side, you know, there's this buildings right here, and if you can get position into this area or these buildings, I think that's a very strong position to defend from. It's really hard for them to be able to take you out. And once you get to this building, you can go across here, or you can go across here and, you know, get onto the train tracks. So I did mention flanking is extremely important, and now let's take a look at Strat Sketch. For example, if we are capping train station, if we are fighting over train station, you are gonna have to fight over this side and over this side, right? The Germans are gonna try and do the same kind of, depending on the amount of cover that they are able to use. But you also want to do something like this, you know? And that applies to every single spot in this entire map for the train tracks. If you're fighting over rail crossing, you want to have some elements try and make it across and attack the side, you know, the Germans in this case from their side, or the Russians from their side. So last one, let's do Carriage Depot. Carriage Depot, you don't only want to fight, you know, around the carriage depot area, but you also want to get around and be able to knock out those garrisons and knock out their reinforcements, because doing that is going to be 10 times more effective than just fighting over this area, because it's either going to be open ground, so you're going to get killed constantly, or it's going to be a very densely packed area with a lot of debris, a lot of cover, where killing enemies is going to be extremely hard. Artillery, speaking of which, artillery is huge in this map. The Katyusha strikes, the bombing runs, everything that can actually hurt people from the air, let's say it that way, is going to play a major role in this map, especially around the train track area. So you want to do as much flanking as possible without neglecting you know, the main points themselves. And as a result of that, when you're in control of either of these middle points, you don't only want to place your garrisons around, you know, the point themselves, like here or here, which I don't like placing garrisons inside strong points, but whatever. You want to place your garrisons controlling those flanks, right? So you can be alerted that there's infantry trying to infiltrate around that area. So you want to do stuff like this with your garrison placement around stuff like carriage depot, and not do just, you know, not just do this, not do a straight line across, which is going to allow the other team to be able to flank you without you knowing it. And that's going to get you into a lot of trouble once you start getting shot from both sides, right? So now that's the middle part of the map. And now let's take a look at some of the other interesting areas around this map, because right here there's a river, a small like creek thing that runs across here that creates a very unique area in Stalingrad. You can see this creek is immense, and it provides some great opportunities to be able to sneak in onto these points without getting seen. So if you go across this entire area, you can see how easily, like, you can't get spotted from that high ground around here, while going around this area, for example, you can get shot from anywhere if you're here, right? You got cover here, you can get shot from that side, from over there, from up the hill, from behind you, from the train tracks, from the buildings, from every single location in the map. So these this creek, this ravine, whatever, I don't English isn't my first language, so I don't really know how to describe this area, but yeah, this area right here is very interesting. It provides, as I said, a lot of cover, and one of the points here, you know, you'll be able to, as a German, you need to take control of this area right here, because if you're just running around the open and trying to cap infantry that's running around on that area, you're going to be missing out on a lot of people sneaking in around here. Controlling this part of the map, again, the hill is, I think, excellent for tanks. Look at the views that you can get here, for example. With some cover, you can shoot through the buildings and stuff like that. So for tanking, this map is actually really good. You can get flanked by infantry, but it's going to be hard for them if you have a good commander, you know. So yeah, that's that part of the map. Make sure you use every inch of terrain that you have at your advantage, and you're not just sticking to the houses. I think terrain actually provides more cover than the houses on the German side of the map. Some last tips on how to play this map is try and be very sneaky and always be flanking, always be on the lookout. You're gonna get shot a lot by running out in the open. Even by running from cover to cover, you're gonna get shot from people hiding in these houses. You can go prone in these like rooftops and stuff like that, or even go prone in the rubble here, and you can get a lot of a really good area to which you can shoot from, and it's gonna be really hard for the enemy to see you. So be aware of people doing that, and either try and avoid that, or use smoke, or go around somewhere else, or move from cover to cover cleverly using your OP to not fall back too much once you die. And that's pretty much it, guys. I think this is a very interesting map. I still feel like I have a lot to learn from it. So maybe I will revisit this map later on. Now that it got the performance patch, it's running great. Maybe even better than some of the old maps, which is kind of crazy, but that's the way it is. As I mentioned, this part of the map, the Russian side, I don't know. I haven't seen much fighting around this area, and the use of buildings it's not what I expected. They aren't used as much as I expected. You have these like 4-story buildings, 5-story buildings, and I've only fought over them a handful of times. So I kind of wish that you were at least able to put OPs down. Maybe not a garrison, but at least an OP, to be able to have a sustained presence on the house. You know, if you place your OP or garrisons around the houses and use that to get in, those are gonna get destroyed by someone flanking from like 200 meters away. So it's just not as effective. I would like to see what would happen if you were able to actually place the OPs inside the houses. I don't know if that's something that they can do or not, but I would like to see that. I think that would make for a bit more of an interesting side of the map here on the Russian side. And I also wish more of these buildings were accessible, like this building right here, which does have a functioning floor and everything, but for some reason you can't actually go in, right? Yeah, so that's it, guys. That's my map breakdown. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, then leave a like, leave a comment, and as always, thank you for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next one.